Check, check.
It's on. I heard it.
This is another speaker card. Now this is gonna go public wishing to address the council. Number
All
two.
of these.
Yeah, but they got some that wants to speak on. Miss Kim, you told them about the ones that want to speak on the opioid stuff?
I did.
Okay, well, all right.
Yeah. All right. They can come up. Could you get that? Cause we were back there. You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You want me to take them out?
Yeah. Separate
I'll
those.
take them out.
Yeah, that's the people that want to speak on two.
Yeah.
On
I'm gonna take them out.
2B.
Tell you what.
What's that?
When it comes to 2B, I'm gonna.
Notice to the public. If you wish to address the council, please complete the public wishing to address the council form located on either end of the counter and give it to either the council chairman or the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. All comments must be addressed, that it is addressed to the council as a whole. Addressing the council, individual council members and staff is not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their choice of words and action, and comments should be limited to issues and cannot involve individuals or staff-related matters. Also, all cell phones and electronic devices used for communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. And I will now call to order Terrebonne Parish Council meeting Wednesday, January 26, 2025. We will have invocation and the pledge by Ms. Kim Chauvin.
Heavenly Father, we come before you today as a council, entrusted with the well-being of Terrebonne Parish and its people. Grant us wisdom to make decisions that are just, fair, and beneficial for all. May our hearts be guided by integrity, our minds be filled with understanding, our actions reflect the best interests of those we serve. Bless our community with prosperity, unity, and resilience. Help us to work together with respect, wisdom, and a spirit of service. May every choice we make honor you and uplift the people of Terrebonne Parish. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Alicia, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Ms. Chauvin,
here.
Mr. Tusclair, Mr. Pleasure, Mr. Harding,
Here.
Boyzan, Mr. Amity, Mr. Champagne, Mr. Hamner, Mr. Babin. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you very much. First thing, approved minutes of the regular council session held on December 18, 2025. Moved by Mr. Amity, second by Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion, members, vote your machine. Nine yeas, zero nays. Approved accounts payable bills listed for 117-25 and 127-25 2025. Moved by Mr. Pledger, second by Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion? Members vote your machine. We have 9-0. We've distributed the minutes of the regular council session held on January 15, 2025. Item number 1, general business proclamation commending Ms. Cheryl Lerat on occasion of her retirement. Ms. Kim Chauvin, please.
Proclamation commending Ms. Cheryl Lerat on the occasion of her retirement. Whereas on September 30th, 2002, Ms. Cheryl Lerat was hired by TPCG as claims technician in the Department of Human Resources and Risk Management. Whereas on February 28, 2005, she was promoted to insurance technician, a position she has held faithfully for nearly 20 years. Whereas Ms. Cheryl Lerat has worked tirelessly as an advocate for TPCG and has shown great resolve, dedication, and professionalism while navigating a variety of insurance matters. Whereas Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government sincerely hopes that Ms. Cheryl Lerat's retirement offers her much-deserved rest, relaxation, and freedom to follow her passions and pursue her hobbies. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Council on behalf of the Parish President, Jason W. Bajon, and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, that we do hereby commend and congratulate Ms. Cheryl Lerat on the occasion of her well-earned retirement. Signed by Terrebonne Parish President Jason W. Bajon and Council Chairperson Carly Harding.
Ms. Lerat.
I want to thank everyone for allowing me to enjoy this part of my career, being the insurance technician for Terrebonne Parish. I really enjoyed it thoroughly, and I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Just hold on. Mr. Amity has something to say. Just hold on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Ms. Cheryl, just stay at the podium for just a moment. You know, a lot of times you're in a position that people don't always see you. They have dealings with you, but I can tell you from what I hear in the community, from the rec districts and all these guys that have dealt with you in the past, they're probably going to have to get 2 people to replace you. You know, but truthfully, we're going to lose that knowledge. So, you know, as with any retirement, please keep your phone on because I'm sure they're going to have some questions. Thank you for all the years that you've done and the wonderful job that you've done.
Thank you, sir.
Parish President.
Yes, I can't say enough about just in the short time I've gotten to know this wonderful employee that she's done a great job and we're sorely going to miss her. I told her a while ago it was bittersweet. You know, we know it's retirement time and you know, we know we did a legacy document, but I think no matter what, you couldn't put everything in place. You know, it'd be a document that would fill this room with the knowledge and experience of what she has. And so I just really want to commend her and thank her for her service and hope that she enjoys her retirement. I did offer if she ever, you know, needs to get out the house, she could use this as an excuse and come on back. So thank you very much, and we really, really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah, Cheryl, thank you for all the years that you put in here. And what I'm going to miss is, I've been on here 11 years. It seemed like almost every council meeting when we were coming, I was coming across, you were going out, I'd say, what's wrong with this problem? You getting off and we coming on. But again, thank you very much for your service and your commitment to this parish.
Thank you, sir.
And from the chair, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 1B. Pursuant to Section 2-7, 2-98, and 4-3 of the Parish Code, Parish President Jason W. Bajon is request ratification of his recommendation, Michelle L. Neal, as Parish Attorney. Also, his recommendation of Courtney E. Alcock Derek Bougeret, Kentley Fairchild, Ivan Thompson, Neil Montgomery, Amanda Mustant, Brianna Orgeron, Gary Williams Jr., Patrick Yancey, and as assistant attorneys. Moved by Mr. Armady, second by Mr. Hamder. Any discussions? Members voting machine. As the machine reflects 8-0, but Mr. Hamner, Ms. Triggs, he's in favor. Motion passes. Item C, pursuant to section 2-7, 2-98, and 4-3 of the Parish Code, Parish President Jason W. Bergeron is request ratification of his recommendation. Brian Mosso and Jules P. Abear Jr. as assistant parish attorneys. Moved by Ms. Kim Chauvin, second by Mr. Danny Babin. Mr. Babin.
Yeah, just to make it clear, in the backup, it says temporary assistant. That's why we have the two, because there's some litigation that they've been handling since, that they need to continue to handle. So I just want to let the public know that the ones that we did under B are the permanent parish attorney and assistants, and Jules and Brian are temporary assistants. Thank you.
Any more lights? There's a motion on the floor. Members voting machines. Mr. Hammer is included, 9-0.
Really carefully. Let's be aware.
Item number 2, public wishing to address the council. In accordance with section 2-07E, the Terrebonne Parish Home Rule Charter, the public will be heard on public can speak for 3 minutes, and any matters related to the parish government without discussions or questions and answers, and not on non-agenda items. We have a number of speaker cards. As I call your names, you can come before again. You have 3 minutes to discuss. The first speaker card, I think Miss Harris, home condemnation. Is that Joe Harris? Can you read that?
It's a
Mr. Joe Harris Jr. The handwriting is bad. Okay, yeah.
Okay, that's Joe Harris. Joe Harris. Well, that's the one he knows.
Sorry to talk about your handwriting in public, man. Great runner for Terrebonne Parish, a mile runner.
Yeah, my address is 1303 Willow Street, Homer, Louisiana. And I was absent for the meeting last night. I was out of town, and I was in the hospital, and I'd like to get a voice on what happened last night.
Well, when you conversated with me, Mr. Harris, I told you that because the situation that was in, unfortunately, we have to speak at this point, and I don't have to. I told you contact nuisance abatement, and whatever is written and taken care of last night, you have to take that up with them when they open for business tomorrow.
All right, then. Thank you.
Thank you. W. Alex Osmeyers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Could you?
My name is W. Alec Ossamer. I live at 101 Oak Street, Homer, Louisiana, and the following are my opinions. Based on the information I have from recent personal dealings and some research, I think there are major problems that need to be addressed in our nuisance abatement department. It seems that the main desire is to try to get people, probably older, to spend substantially more money maintaining vacant buildings, allow the council to destroy them and clear the property. When you receive a notice from them, A, you cannot find out who reported it to see what that problem was with your property and do anything about it. The reports are so ambiguous that you do not know specifically what you are supposed to do to correct the problem. C, the statement seems to always end with the property, quotations, to be in a dilapidated and dangerous condition which endangers the public welfare. But if you look up the definition of the quote in the code, you very quickly realize it is unlikely that the inspector has the training to make that judgment. And if you get a copy of that definition, you understand what I mean, because it concerns foundations and everything else. And these pictures take pictures and send them back. And anyway, when that happens, I think the inspector probably has to resort to cosmetics to give their review, which have nothing to do with the endangerment of the public welfare. In short, your nuisance abatement department, in my opinion, has major problems and should be redone from what it is now to a how can we help you to stay in Terrebonne Parish with the programs we have. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Next, Ms. Connie Berg, in reference to the parish president trip to DC.
Hi, Connie Berg, 5953 Alma Street, Houma, Louisiana. There's been much made about our parish president's trip to DC and how he neglected his duty by not being here for a snowstorm. Well, in my opinion, he did what he needed to do at the time because he was needed to go up north and politic for funds to come down here to this parish. It would have made no difference if he was here. He wouldn't have been having a shovel in his hand. He wouldn't have been digging holes. He wouldn't have been turning valves. The Waterworks District, that is their job. They're responsible for the water, not the parish president. They should know that they are, employees, first responders, but essential. There you go. Essential. I was looking for that word. Essential response teams. I would think that the waterworks would know that they're essential and should be on the road and taking care of the necessary repairs. So I don't feel that the parish president should be assassinated, more or less, with verbal assassination, that he's not doing his job. As y'all know, I ran for parish president. So a lot of times I put myself in his position. Well, what would you have done? My thought was, first of all, like Mardi Gras ball in Washington, I despise Mardi Gras balls. Being from Mardi Gras land, I've been there, done that, I'm over it. The only thing that I would have gone up there to do would have been to hobnob with the people who have the money. That's where you have to go to get the money, is Washington. So you have to go play their little games in order to get funding for down here. And I find that he did what he had to do before he left. He made all his contacts. He told everybody what y'all know what y'all need to do. Had I been parish president, I'd have depended heavily on my department heads. That's their job. They've been there longer than he's been president. So they know what to do. They don't need him to hold their hand. So I find that he's getting a bad rap for something that he's working very hard on, and that's trying to get this parish moving forward, not backwards. So I find that in my observation of coming to all these meetings and hearing all the street talk, I find, in my opinion, there's an ulterior motive behind all of this. There's two sets of this parish council. And I find
Make a
that
motion to extend.
Motion by Ms.
No, motion to extend.
Motion by Ms. Kim Chauvin, to extend. Second by Mr. Hamner. Members vote your machine. Members vote your machine. Seven zero. Ms. Bird, the green light is on.
all right, good deal. Yeah, I find it very disheartening to see that some people are behind the scenes trying to sabotage everything this man does. I've seen it time and time again. I'm good at reading rooms and reading people. I'm not good at a lot of things, but that I'm good at. So it just makes me sad that we have somebody who's not into it for how he can line his pockets or make himself look great. He's into it for Terrebonne Parish, which is what I wanted to do for Terrebonne Parish also. I have no political affiliation. I'm registered Republican, yes, but I was an independent. And it's because I am of common sense party. And I don't want to be going backwards. I want to go forward. How can we fix this? Don't leave it at one thing. If just because there's no answer right now doesn't mean there's not going to be an answer down the road. And I have seen Jason go above and beyond to attend all fundraisers, every activity in this parish. That man is there. He doesn't have to go to all of this, but he's there because he's a part of the community and he's out there making sure everything is being done to the best of his ability. So in that regard, all I can say is y'all are barking up the wrong tree. All right? The man's doing a good job. Let him do his job. Quit trying to backstab him or come in through the back door to make him look bad.
Thank you, Ms. Berg. You reached the extent of your time. Thank you. The next. Okay. Yeah. We can take care of that. Yeah. All right. But it passed. Next speaker card, Mr. Chris Pulaski. Is that Pulaski? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On? No. Okay. Chris Pulaski, Director of Planning and Zoning, 855 High Street, Houma, Louisiana. I just wanted to say to everybody in this room, the folks at home, you know, what a great job Jason did during that entire event. I mean, we had coordination calls every single day. Jason ran those calls. He controlled everything that was going on. But fortunately, I have to give the biggest props to my fellow directors. I was fortunate that in planning and zoning, we didn't have a whole lot going on during this type of event. You know, we were fortunate that we didn't have a lot of permits that needed to be taken care of in terms of the recovery. But certainly my fellow directors had a lot going on. And between everybody's experience and Jason's leadership, and Noah Lerat, of course, was in town as well during that whole time, and he took the helm on a lot of things. So we were covered. And, you know, aside from a few things, you know, dealing with the water, I mean, that's something that no one has any real control over, and it was a terrible situation, but it certainly wasn't unique to Terrebonne Parish. We had that all across southeast Louisiana. And I think overall the response was overwhelming. I mean, you know, in terms of accidents, I think we had just a handful compared to other events in past years. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that even though he wasn't physically present in Terrebonne Parish, his presence was certainly felt, and he had his finger on the button. I mean, President Trump isn't in Washington, D.C. every day either. That's why they have Air Force One. We don't have Air Force One, sorry. Budget cuts. Ask Candace. She can give you some money for that. But I just wanted to make that clear for everybody. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker card would be Mr. Earl Hughes.
Good evening, Earl Hughes, 104 Midland Drive in Houma. As most of you guys know, I am the Director of Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, and I just kind of wanted to go over some of the scenarios that we operated with over the weekend through the weather. We knew this weather was coming, so we started preparing the Wednesday before, also knowing that Monday was a holiday. So all of our departments were on conference calls and were speaking about what we needed to do in preparation for this weather. And then, the weather hits, and then we're on daily conference calls, and Parish President Bergeron was spearheading those conference calls every day, making sure that every department had what they needed to operate, along with the rest of the administration. But a lot went on during this operation. I got to give, accolades to everyone that worked in all of our departments, waterworks, all of the parish departments, state agencies, and some federal agencies if they were involved. But we opened up a warming shelter Sunday evening in anticipation of the weather, and then we decided to move that shelter in the event that we had some electrical outages. So I got to give hands up to all the electrical people for keeping the electricity going, because it would have been much worse if we would have lost electricity, and they did a great job taking care of that part of the utilities. But we had 33 people who use our shelter, and most of them were homeless. Okay, but to provide them a safe place to go with wind chills of 7 degrees, it's imperative that we offer those warming shelters. And with the help of the Houma Police Department, the Housing and Human Services with Kelly, Ben Walker in my office, I think the success of those warming shelters was shown. We had no deaths in this parish from the cold weather. Okay, so I think they did a great job doing that with the support of administration. Never once did they, say, well, do we need that? Okay, when we suggested that we open those warming shelters, it was, yes, please take care of what needs to be done. As far as all the other operations, we were in constant contact with GOSEP every day. Our regional coordinator, Ashley Beach, was in contact with us every day with GOSEP. Any requests that we would have needed through GOSEP, we could have taken care of. So we had, contact with all the departments. I was definitely in contact with Mike Sobert the whole time. Friday morning at 2 a.m. Actually, it was Thursday morning at 2 a.m. I get a phone call from Mr. Sobert. I need to get to the water plant. My vehicle will not ride on this ice to get me to the water plant. So I contacted the sheriff's office. They went and picked up Mr. Sobert, brought him to the water plant at 2 a.m. because they were almost on the verge of losing that water plant. And if they would have lost that water plant, we would have lost the whole water system. So he knew he needed to get there. He did what he needed to do. What people don't realize, there were some questions about why we shut off some areas for water. If we do not keep the hospital, Terrebonne General, supplied with water, and if we do not keep Schaubert Medical Center supplied with water, those two facilities have to immediately be evacuated because there's no water for those services. Another question was regarding the jail. If we do not get the jail supplied with water, I have to evacuate 600 prisoners from that jail. And they all have to be spread out throughout the state until we can get the water systems up and running. So there are some decisions that are made that need to be made in an emergency to make sure that we don't lose the whole system. We lose the water system, we out of water for the whole parish an extra week, okay, to get the system back up and running. So there's a lot of decisions that have to be made, whether it's through Mr. Sobert and through parish administration, that things have to take place in order to keep us surviving and getting the parish working and back up and running faster after these events. But I will have to say that, we do have contact with the state agencies, and our federal congressional delegation even checks on us and says, hey, what can we do to help you guys? And if we need it, we have it, but we're in constant contact. There's some questions of whether or not why we didn't open up the EOC. This is different than a hurricane. When a hurricane comes, where there's severe destruction of our infrastructure. Part of that destruction is the communications. I have no cell phones. I have no landlines. I have the 700 megahertz radio system goes out. We just don't have any communications. So to open up the EOC during that time is that we all in the same hub and we can all communicate with each other and make sure that things are getting done. In this particular event, we never lost those communications. So we were able to communicate with everybody and keep in contact. Like I said, we're in constant contact with the sheriff's office, with GOSEP. I was in constant contact with both hospitals, making sure that they had what they needed and things were taken care of. So we don't always have to open up the Emergency Operations Center. And there's some examples. The last two major winter events, we didn't open up the EOC. We didn't open up the EOC when we declared an evacuation for the wildfires that we had 2 years ago, because it's just not needed at that time when we can communicate and get things done. If it ever escalates to where we needing additional resources and we need to collaborate some more, it doesn't take much to call everybody and say, hey guys, we're activating the EOC, please be in there in a half hour. And then we would activate that EOC and take care of the situations that have escalated. So with that, I just wanted to make sure that the council knew that we were in communication with everybody and all the agencies and making sure that things were getting done, and that we were in contact with the parish president the whole time through conference calls. And all of us got phone calls from Jason throughout the day when we weren't on the conference calls. So things were getting done even though Jason was taking care of us in Washington. I'm open for any questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you.
The next speaker card is Kurt. I don't want to mess up your last name. It's Bouquet? Okay, then. In reference to weather event.
Thank you for having me. I'm Kurt Bouquet from 13 Waverly Way here in Houma. I can't really improve on what's been said thus far, so I will just say thank you, Mr. Badgeron, for your leadership through this event, despite all of the unwanted criticism that you've been getting. And I hope you are in it for another 4 years on top of this one.
That completes our speaker cards. At this time, we're going to our 6:30 public hearing. Item A, an ordinance to authorize the parish president to execute cooperative endeavor agreement on the behalf of Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government between Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government and Clay Higgins in his official capacity as a United States representative and to lease space in the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government owned building at 7910 Main Street, Houma, Louisiana, 70360. First call public. Second call public. Third call public. Motion closed by Mr. Trusclair, second by Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion, members? Vote your machine. We've been going through that. Nicknames. Mr. Hamner? Mr. Hamner?
What about machine's not working? Yeah, it worked. This time I didn't even try.
9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion adopt, Mr. Trusclair, second by Mr. Pleasure. Any discussion, members, vote your machine. 9-0, motion has been adopted. Item B, an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operation budget and 2025 budget position of Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. 1, animal shelter, $25,000. 2, animal shelter, $22,038. Third one, with Houma Police Department, $11,331. Number 4, general fund, $3,106. 5, public safety, opioids, $881,852. Number 6, general fund, 0. Number 7, Drainage Tax Fund, $94,022. And add 1 electrical service to telemetry superintendent, grade 211. First call public. Second call public.
Good afternoon, Ellen Dosky, 7 Claremont Lane, Houma, Louisiana. I'm here on behalf of Family Preservation Court.
Hi. Hi, I'm Valerie Cooper, 513 Crescent Boulevard, Houma, Louisiana, and I'm the coordinator of Family Preservation.
Sorry.
I'm Judge David Arsenault of the courthouse, judge of the Family Preservation Court.
So we presented a brief presentation in January about Family Preservation Court and the opiate settlement money. It may have been back in December. However, since that time, we've learned that the Terrebonne Parish government has received double the amount that was originally expected. This money is going to be ongoing for another 15 years. If you look at the projected amounts, they're all at least $260 up to $300,000 per year. This year alone, we were expected to receive $433,000, and we received $881,000. It's time now to make a plan for this money. For too long, we've been pushing this problem of substance use disorder under the rug, trying to jail our way out of this problem, and it's not working. What we have been doing with Family Preservation Court, as we have presented at our last meeting, is addressing the problems to a very limited subset of people. Those people who have parents who have substance use disorder who are involved with the Department of Children and Family Services. What I'd like to see with this additional funds that you have received, in addition to expanding our program, I would like to see a long-term plan for prenatal substance abuse. If we can address the prenatal substance abuse, get the pregnant women in treatment before their babies are born, then we don't have the issue of them coming into state's custody. We do not have babies, newborns, being separated from their mothers. We do not have the issue of the babies not having that bonding time with their parents. It's our hope that we can expand this program to include those prenatal mothers so that they can start their road to recovery before the babies are born. Ms. Cooper here today, our licensed counselor who works as our coordinator, has prepared a presentation to give you some data which expresses the extent of the problem nationwide in Louisiana and then local here to Terrebonne Parish. After that, I would like to present to you a proposed budget for expanding our program.
Hi. I wanted to start first by thanking you for allowing us this opportunity, but I also wanted to let you know that change takes courage, and this is something that for a long time we've been really passionate about, and it's actually changing the face of what we saw as a big problem, which is substance use disorder. And that's what we're striving to do. Based on the latest data, the top 5 states with the highest infant mortality rates in the United States: number 1, Mississippi; number 2, Alabama; number 3, Arkansas; number 4, Louisiana. Infant mortality is a critical indicator of a region's overall health and well-being. These rates highlight the need for improved healthcare access for all people, prenatal care, and social support systems. On the national level, there's been a 400% increase in substance-affected newborns cases since 1999. $2.5 billion in annual health care funds costs have been related to treatment. In Louisiana, 6.0 substance-affected newborns per 1,000. So 6 out of 1,000 children. Here in Terrebonne Parish, Terrebonne General has approximately 1,600 births per year to 2,000 births per year. So we're looking at a prenatal substance-exposed newborns at a really big rate. From 2017 to 2019, 25% of pregnancy-associated deaths in Louisiana had a substance as a contributing factor. And almost 1/2 of the deaths were due to accidental overdose. Medicaid expenditures for treatment went up 5-fold over the past decade. In Terrebonne Parish, local hospital deliveries, like I said, are about 1,600. There's 156 cases of substance-exposed newborns that DCFS became a part of, and 795 children were served in foster care. We're talking about having children removed from parents and either not bonding or attaching and suffering severe trauma. Only 88, in Terrebonne Parish, we only have 88 certified foster care homes that were new this year. We're struggling placing kids. Right now, we have a lot of our clients whose children are placed in different cities all around Terrebonne Parish, all around the state of Louisiana. And we're talking about not being able to visit or see your children at all, or on a very limited basis. There's a critical need for targeted interventions and improved data collections. Some key facts for Terrebonne Parish for prenatal substance abuse: very high rates of substance use during pregnancy. Socioeconomic challenges, being able to get the help and the care that you need. There's a lot of challenges due to the limited access of specialized care. I think there's only 3 places in the state that work with substance use ladies who are pregnant with their children in the state. And there's a huge, great need for that. Rural areas face barriers to getting to health care. There's a higher rate of infant mortality and poor neonatal outcomes. And we're not even talking about the problem of low birth rate. Low birth rate indicates that there are going to be developmental issues, both short-term and long-term, which impacts our school systems. There's a lot more cognitive developmental delays, learning delays. We're seeing an explosion of problems in the schools and in the healthcare systems. And what's beginning to show is that many of these children were born low birth rate. And that's why they're having the problems, cognitively, learning development. Talk to any of the teachers. Impulse control. Big problems with impulse control. Direct cost, neonatal medical care for drug-exposed newborns. If they're going to be in the ICU, a baby that's born spends, 16 to 23 days in the NICU. Look at the cost. A normal child born spends 2 days in the hospital. There's a strain on the foster care system. Like I said, over last year, and statewide, there were 51,000 cases in the state. 26,000 cases had child protection investigations. 3,000 cases were children removed from their families. In Terrebonne Parish, Reports of suspected neglect, 4,226. Child protection investigations, 2,200. And children that were served in Terrebonne Parish, 795. There's a huge problem. There's a huge problem because not only are these children developmentally disabled, what happens is the trauma associated with not bonding with your parent causes trauma, causes issues throughout their entire lifetime. This is something that we're really passionate about. We're one of the highest states in the union with teenage pregnancy rates. We're at 23 per 1,000. And our infant mortality here, 7.3. For health, what we would want to do is we'd want to start a neonatal program. And what we would begin with is, number one, training healthcare providers. The physicians in the OB, the physicians in the emergency rooms, they need help with the issue because they came into practice to be an OB. They didn't come into practice to understand all the issues associated with drug use. And it's big. There's been a lot more data that shows the big effects of alcohol and nicotine on the long-term effects of the child. Thank God for the opioid problem because it gave us an opportunity to highlight what really is Terrebonne Parish's biggest issue, and that's nicotine and alcohol use in parents. Also for the patients, we work to educate the patients. We work to, in a very non-punitive way, we help dispel the bias. We help them to feel like there's help and hope rather than punitive measures of being punished, because we see this as a illness. We see this as a long-term problem that's going to take numerous agencies to come in and help. It's not just a choice. If you've ever been associated or know someone, you know it's not a choice. It's a relapsing long-term illness, and it takes a collaboration of agencies. We've collaborated with both Terrebonne General, with Oshner at Chabert, and we've created much of the infrastructure that we could simply add this new program to. And that's what we're looking to do. Do you have any questions? Sure, Steve? Sure.
Hold on, Steve. You be next. Go ahead.
Okay, you mentioned about training, doctors and OBs and emergency room doctors. Are there any training facilities locally or around here that they can even get training? How do you go? I mean, where do we find this training? And are they willing to do that? Have we talked to these guys and see if we actually have people in our community that's wanting to get part of that program?
Sure, absolutely. What we started with 3 years ago is we started with me going around and talking about substance use disorder and best practices. I was blessed enough for about 14 years to be a counselor for drug court, Terrebonne Parish Drug Court, and I provided services to them. I learned tremendous amount about what substance use is. And in that, the one reason that I chose to get into this program was because we taught the people that it was a illness, but yet we punished them by putting them in jail if they relapsed. And I had a very difficult time navigating that. And so when the family preservation came up, it's a totally different program. It's where we get resources, physicians, we get nurses, we get a huge it's a team effort. And we use those doctors. We have made some connections. We do have providers. Sarah's the head of the Oshner Behavioral Health Unit with Dr. Williams, who is a substance. She can tell you about it.
So we have made some
Excuse me,
connections.
state your name and address,
I'm
please.
sorry, Sarah Hensley, 204 Pendleton Drive, Homa. Thank you. So I am over the behavioral health unit at Chabert, and we see about 99% substance use patients with mental illness or alone. So our doctor is an addiction specialist, Dr. Andrew Williams. So he has done outreach with other providers. We have connected at Terrebonne General with their providers as well. A lot of work to do. We work with the labor and delivery doctors through their social worker program at Terrebonne General. So there's a lot of outreach that's starting. And of course, there's many best practices, evidence-based practices that we could get into and provide opportunities for them to learn as well. But Valerie is right. The emergency rooms, the ability, the knowledge to prescribe some of these medications that can reduce harm, reduce deaths, and then start to connect with the community providers that are ready to work.
Thank you. And it looks like Terrebonne Parish may be a step ahead of some of our neighbors, maybe even here with what you're telling me. So that's a good thing. I'm totally supported. Now, I'm calling this free money, and I think we need to make sure it gets used in the most productive way we can. And this is the first I hear that we've actually getting a windfall. So I think that's a great deal. And look, I support you guys 110%. And I support this, and I support everything you guys are doing. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Trisclair. And I just want to emphasize your point. This is not taxpayer money. This is money that's coming from the settlements from the drug companies who were making the opioids and distributing excess amounts of opiates. So we're not talking about taxpayer money. And again, this money will be coming into the parish for the next 15 years.
That's why I say it's free money.
It's free money. And so that is an important point.
Yeah.
And I thank you for
Thank you very
pointing
much.
that out.
Mr. Bergeron.
Yeah, and I want to thank them for all the hard work and effort that they do. This is actually the second time we received this funding prior to 2024. I don't know what the exact year is, but and so with this budget amendment tonight, we met with both groups, both the Family Preservation and Drug Court. We're looking at funding it for 2 years, and the remaining funds going to HPD, and Travis could talk about what they use it for and how they do it. So we'd love to do a longer term plan than that, but unfortunately, we just don't know what else is coming and when it's coming, because I think it's been actually a couple years. And so we appreciate everything they're doing. We're in full support. That's why we're doing this budget amendment tonight, to give them the funding they need for their programs with the budget they gave us, and we do everything we can to help them. So I thank them again for their work. Oh, and I'd like to add one more thing. And so I'm actually having a meeting with Bayou Community Foundation tomorrow with from a regional perspective, and what emergency intake looks like when it comes to opioids and those drug issues. And so we're getting all the hospitals together and all the major players that deal with any intake to understand what resources are available, what gaps we have, and what we can do to close those gaps, and even have conversations about some level of a medium to long-term rehab locally as an opportunity, because right now everybody has to travel so far. So not only are we doing what we can from this perspective, but also doing it from a community outreach perspective and working with our partners at a regional level to make sure that we address this issue across the board. So thank y'all.
Ms. Chauvin.
So my question would be, and we've met before on this very issue and finding this new program that we have here. How many young ladies do you think that we can reach in the first year to where we can make that first step in not having kids born on drugs? I think we had talked about it before in the meeting.
You're talking about the prenatal.
Yes, we're talking about the
aspect,
prenatal.
which we hope to establish as an adjunct program to the Family Preservation Court. You know, with the Family Preservation Court, we deal with the mothers and fathers who've had children that are in state's custody. And we've got this wonderful infrastructure set up that's working really well to help those people. And we'd like to take that program and expand it to the prenatal parents. As far as the numbers on the prenatal, I'm going to have to defer to these ladies here. They're the ones that are more involved.
We're looking at starting with at least 20, depending on how that works. But I think easily we can go 20 women. And you need to understand that whenever we work with family preservation or with families, it may be one person who's in the program, but it has a ripple effect to the entire family. And we've had families that were one mom, one dad, and 8 children. And so whenever you multiply that ripple effect, we easily touched in the last couple of years over 150 people. And we easily reunited 50 to 60 family units. And, like I said, it's the ripple effect that's so important. And I want everyone to know that it was a collaboration. Actually, Terrebonne General, some providers there are the ones that came to us with the idea of adding to our program the prenatal part because there is an issue there. And they felt like we had the best structure because we had been working through them. Once the babies were born, they would be born there at Terrebonne, and then they would immediately go to Chabert for treatment, and then the wraparound services. We do a hands-on touching of the parent, and Terrebonne General is the one that came to us and said, why don't y'all just add prenatal? And so, Jason, I want you to know that there's been a lot of collaboration that has allowed our program, the Family Preservation Court, to do as well as it's been doing and to touch. And that's not about me. That's not about me. It's about the relationships and the community people that have joined and helped us with that.
So what we're looking at is you have the family preservation, which is one program, which is reuniting families and teaching them and moving forward, which involves where they had their kids taken away and you're working to help them to get there. This is a whole different program.
Absolutely.
And it's prenatal, and we're going after young ladies that need to be in a program so that we're not dealing with a death.
We're hoping, this is how Judge mentioned it yesterday. He goes, Val, it sounds like what you're trying to do is create a program that will kill your program. And I'm like, you know what? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be awesome? And yes, you're right. That is our goal. And that's not impossible. It's going to be difficult because, like I said, substance use disorder is a long-term illness that's going to require a consolidated, evidence-based program. Y'all, there's a lot of places that claim to be substance treatment facilities. I wouldn't send my niece or nephew. And I'm going to tell you, I'll tell every one of my participants that come through the program, if I wouldn't send my niece or nephew, I'm not sending you. And that's the difference. There's a lot of places out there that are for money.
Thank you.
We're here for the long haul.
Yeah, thank y'all for coming tonight and talking about the work you do. I totally support it also, listen to y'all give the, when you were talking about designing the program. And I hope what you do and what you do at Family Preservation also puts McDonald no need to have housing for kids who are taken away from their parents,
Absolutely.
So, Chairperson, I'm drawing a blank. Harding and myself was able to attend the graduation of one of your classes, and it was very touching and give a different perspective on what you do and how appreciative they were, and just watching them give a testimonial about the program, and the kids were there with them, that the family was able to stay intact. Very powerful. So I just want to, just thank you for all you're doing. It's a great program.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, I think Ms. Candace made me aware, since the contract's not signed, we are able to adjust, kind of what's going where, and, if we need to sync back up, have another meeting. I'd love to bring Travis into that meeting because they're dealing with some of the funds also. But at the end of the day, what's important to us is that we spend this money wisely and again, work on a plan as much as we can without having a guarantee to know that when it's going to come in and how much it's going to come in. But we're definitely committed to working together to make sure we get them the money they need, and they're able to take that and create the programs that they need and support what they're trying to do. Again, I can't say enough about the great work that they do and how much of a difference that'll make in the issues that we're dealing with. So,
Yeah, and that was my thought. Well, actually, this is somewhat unusual, not unusual that we can't handle it, because we actually have to look at what effects it'll have on the police department also. I think the presentation that was actually given and how we got to this point right there, we got to a point where we were allocating at least $500,000 to this particular project out of 881. So, you know what I mean, it's up to the members of this council to actually make that decision. But then I want you guys to really know that is the position that we're in, because, you know what I mean, once we actually alter this and you never come up with a dollar figure, and there's no dollar figure that we're working with, and then with that dollar figure, if you subtract if you add to one side, you have to subtract from the other side. So we don't know what effects, and be cautious of that. We don't know what effect that's going to have on the police department, what their expectations, even when this is coming up. So be cautious about what we're going to do, but everyone wants both ends to be taken care of, but we want to be fair and patient.
Absolutely. And I want the council to know that 20% of the money that came in before it even got here, 20% went to the sheriff. Okay? So there's a big hunk of chunk that went to law enforcement. I'm a law enforcement person, a first responder person. I respect the work that they do. This is opioid abatement money. We have tried for years to punish people. We've tried for years to put them in jail. Guys, that does not work. We have seen it. So I want to thank you. And I'll go back to what I started with. It really takes courage to change. Thank you very much.
Mr. Hamner.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, thank you, Ms. Dosky, Ms. Cooper, Sarah, and Judge. Thank y'all for the work y'all doing with these with this program, and especially thank you for creating a new program for the unborn baby program. you know, but yeah, they've kind of. I think it was Valerie that mentioned what the judge said, creating a program that's going to put yours out. That says it all. That says it all. And y'all already know I'm in full support of it. But I have a legal question that I'd like to ask the attorney. Or procedural. Do we need to change verbiage or wording in the ordinance that's already got $881,852 allocated until we come up with, meet with those that, the sheriff, HPD, find out how that money's being.
So the budget amendment is presented tonight for $330,000 to go to the Family Preservation Court, $200,000 to go to Terrebonne Drug and Treatment Court, and Houma Police Department, $351,000. If we choose to, like Parish President said, we have not determined the use of the 330,000 directly to Family Preservation Court because we haven't done an agreement yet. They have given us, that was the 2 years for the court so that they could extend that Family Preservation Court. But if we would like to, that 330,000, when we come up with the agreement, could go for the Family Preservation Court as well as this new program that they're going. But it wouldn't change the allocation of 330,000. And this budget amendment and ordinance would not have to be adjusted if that is what we did. If y'all are wanting to change the allocation of this 881,000, this needs to be null and void and start new.
That's the answer I'm looking for, the last part. So if we pass the ordinance, they get the 330 to pick and choose what they need it, use it for. But it's only 330, so the money's got to come out their own pocket, one pocket into the other pocket for them to get it. Am I understanding that right?
I don't understand one
Well-
pocket to another pocket.
Well, the 330, if they get 330 tonight, if this passes?
When this budget amendment gets passed and we determine an agreement, they will get the money.
Right. But they need additional money, am I correct? So if we vote this ordinance tonight, then they don't get additional money?
No, sir, because you would have to take it from one of the other allocations, so one of the other programs. All I have is 881,000 to allocate.
Okay. Understand what I have to do tonight. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now, and this has actually come up several times before in reference to items that are listed in this portion of our budget adjustments. Now, once we actually close the public, and we actually, Ms. Neal, you may look at it too. Once we close the public hearing, and once we close the public hearing and we actually make a motion to accept this, can we actually at that time make any perhaps adjustments in that?
No, sir.
So all or nothing?
Correct.
Okay then, all right. Okay.
I will let Ms. Neal elaborate on that.
Yeah, Ms. Neal, where are you again? Oh, Chris.
Play musical chairs this week.
Yeah, you over there yesterday.
So yes, you either vote to adopt the ordinance as written, or you don't adopt the ordinance as written. If you adopt tonight and you want to come back with a subsequent budget amendment to move additional monies around, that is also an opportunity. I guess that'll have to be some additional discussions with the council and Candace Malden and administration. But you can't, I think we had really referred to what you're asking about as like line item adoption on an ordinance, which is not available. It's got to be adopted as is because it was introduced in writing, published for the public to come in and to come to the public hearing. And so the public has been put on notice that this is the ordinance.
Yeah, so we're going down the road and where we are right now, and this is what the deal is all or nothing, all of these items on here. So when we go all or nothing items on here, we have to accept everything. Other than that, everything is kicked off. You follow what I'm saying? So
See, Mr.
we're making an
Pledger,
adjustment later
question?
on. Do you guys understand that?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bedroom.
Yeah, so, and part of this is, us giving the money to HPD. We did have a meeting. We had a conversation about bring us what you're looking for. We received the budgets, and then from there, allocated the rest of the funding to HPD. And I wouldn't mind Travis coming up and saying something that talks about what HPD is using the money for. But at the end of the day, that we did go through this process, and, I'm hearing about this process, and this new program and this money tonight. We had that in our meeting, we'd have put it in here, right? So I just want to make sure everybody understands that we got the budgets for 2 years, and we said, okay, we're going to give the rest to HPD because we all know HPD is a fund that never has enough funding and everything else. And so Travis will kind of talk about what they're doing for that funding also.
You guys can sit down, and then if need be, you can stand, but let him take the podium right now.
I want to thank you, and I would be remiss if I didn't thank you on behalf of Judge Pickett, too. Some of that money's going to drug court. And so on behalf of myself as the judge of the Family Preservation Court and Judge Pickett for the Drug Court, I want to thank you for all the time and the interest that you've devoted to this in allocating this money. Thank you.
Yeah, Travis Terrio, Chief of Police, Houma, Louisiana, 500 Honduras Street. First off, early on, I want to thank y'all for your support in providing us with the opioid funds. Secondly, I want to apologize to you by not having the presentation ready for tonight. With last week's events, we were very busy. There was no way it could have been done. I also had some unexpected family emergencies this week, so I apologize for that. However, but to highlight some of the things off the top of my head that I recall. And another thing, I want to commend what they are doing with Family Preservation Court. I'm not interested in a battle over funds, right? I think it's all needed. But one thing that keeps being said is putting people in jail that are users is not the answer. Well, the police department, we're not out there to put the users in jail. We want to help them. Okay? That's not our focus. I understand that we come into contact with people that have heroin on them or fentanyl on them as a result, and whenever we're working the opioid funds, and yes, they go to jail, right? And it gets into the family court, it gets into the into drug court. The focus of the police department is to go after the drug dealers. Okay, some of the money that was used whenever we came in, we realized when we had this money that our SWAT team that is going after the drug dealers, because safety is of the utmost importance, was wearing antiquated body armor, outdated. You all heard how old this stuff was. This is what we used it for. We made the men and women of the Houma Police Department safe to go after this. Guns go with narcotics. I do not want to bury a police officer. Okay? We use some of the funding for safety. We use some of the money to highly train them to go in and safely remove them from these houses and make families better, make our community better. We didn't use this money recklessly. We monitor it very closely to make sure we're doing the right thing. We also use this for de-escalation training, okay? When I learned that we were getting additional funds, I reached out and I was very excited, and I spoke with one of the prosecutors so we can start helping out with drug court and providing manpower to go out and do the bed checks and different things that they were asking for that they didn't have the support for or the manpower for. So we're looking to work with the courts. We're not looking to work against them. And we're not looking to put the people that are addicted to narcotics in jail. We're looking to go after the drug dealers on the street, okay? You don't go and rehabilitate somebody that's putting the drugs on the street and killing people, okay? And I agree. I've seen the dead children. I've seen the families. I've made the death notifications in my 25 years. And so have my investigators. We're tired of it just like everybody else. We have a job to do, and the men and women in the Houma Police Department are going to do it with pride. And we're going to go out there and we're going to keep fighting to get this town better. And I will have the statistics and I will come back and report them. But that is the mission of the Houma Police Department. Make for a safer and better community and work hand in hand with all aspects of both law enforcement and the district attorney's office and the court system. I can answer any questions.
No, okay.
Kevin?
Yeah, so you said that y'all bought equipment last time. What was the plan for this time? Do you have some of the drug court stuff, but any other things off the top of your head?
I want to start reaching out. I wasn't sure exactly what the funds were going to be. I was waiting. I wanted to see what was going to be coming to us first.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to sit down with drug court and see how we can work with them and start doing some more outreach in the community. We also have plans, depending on how it comes in, to start doing outreach in the community as well and coming up with ways to do some community policing, reaching out to the kids at a young age. We didn't know how much money was coming. We didn't know how long this was going to last, okay? My goal, I want to see this money we have. Look, it might sit in there for a while, but I'm not looking to stretch this over 2 years. I want to see a program that goes for 8 to 10 years.
You good, Kevin? All right. Mr. Hamlin?
Hey, thank you, Travis. Appreciate what you were saying just now. But I don't want to interpret. I think what I heard you say that you're going to use your share of the money to work together with family preservation, to make both programs successful, and you'll get you. Is that part of the goal?
So
Or I'm misinterpreting?
yeah, so I'm
Okay.
really not that familiar. I'm not that familiar with what happens with family preservation court. I don't know if there is a role for law enforcement and family preservation court. What I would love to work with them if they need us, right?
Okay.
I have spoken with drug court with Seth Dodd and how we can help out with drug court, but I just didn't know what was going to be coming to us, and he was pretty excited about that because they don't have the people to go out and do the bed checks and things like that, and we were just scratching the surface. This is a conversation that came up within the last week or two because I really don't know what's coming.
Thank you.
Ms. Sherburne?
Okay. Well, I believe both things are very important. Whether it's family preservation, whether it's prenatal, whether it's funding, the police, because I think that it provides, the problem is that the drugs are rampant in our parish. And there is so much that needs to be done on that part. But I'm just kind of wondering, how much money has HPD, and maybe Candace can answer this, how much money has been allotted to HPD that has come from just the opioid abatement money? And that is not to downsize that you need protection and you need anything. This is really hard because so much is needed with this very thing. But I'm just kind of looking to see how much of the funds.
Yeah, I would have to.
Right.
Candace.
Thank you. No, it's okay. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I should wait. I should get that. Another way.
You like Candace?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I will get that for you.
Okay. So, and this is my next one. So the money is going to come down for, she said, the next 15 years, correct? Okay. So this is my thing. So we need family preservation. We are in need of a prenatal, and we are in need of funding HPD. And I'm looking at, and drug court. Yeah, yes. Okay. So the part in this that I'm trying to get a big picture is we've given 330 for family preservation, which is definitely needed because we want to put families back together. My part of it that I'm wondering is funding is coming down every single year.
So
why would we
can I-
need to?
Can I clear that up a little bit? So through the settlements, we are supposed to get settlements over 15 years. We, as far as I know, and every research I've done and all of the attorneys I've talked to that are involved in it, we don't know when those settlements are coming and what the dollar amount is going to be. So that's why whenever I get a deposit, this $881,000, I come to the council with a budget amendment to say, hey, we got some more money now. We're going to put it towards program A, B, C, and D.
Correct.
So I can't budget for it for future because I don't know what it's going to be.
I don't think we got anything last year.
We did.
Yes, they did. I do remember seeing it because I went back and looked. So, and that's just, so there's no rhyme or reason in the amount of monies that will come down each way?
So there is a state task force committee that has estimates of what is supposed to be coming based on what the courts have done. But accounting wise, I can't recognize that and plan to use it until I have an agreement in hand that this is the dollar amount or I have the actual money in hand. we can have a long-term plan or a focus on these programs to say, when we get the next settlement money, we want 25% to go to here, 25%, or however the plan would be determined. But as far as knowing what that dollar amount is, I cannot budget for that until I know what it is and when I'm getting it.
Okay, I guess in my mind, I'm trying to think like the 330. I definitely want to see family preservation continue on. Okay, that's important. I'm wondering if I think it was 186,000 that they needed for the prenatal. Is that what I read? Okay, so I'm just kind of wondering, can we go back and look at giving, doing the preservation, doing the prenatal, and coming back the following year on the monies that will be done, and sit down at the table with family preservation, with the prenatal, and then with the chief, and see how to work this out. So I'm just kind of wondering if we can split this up to work in the favor of all three,
So that's what I was suggesting, that we
but it
keep
won't be enough money.
the three.
The 330 will not do it.
So
You have-
that's the only way we can do this right now without taking any of the allocation away from any of the other programs and being able to adopt this budget.
Unless we vote it down, come back and do it over.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Steve, Mr. Trescott.
Yes, thank you. I'm looking at the backup, and Jason mentioned it earlier, that, Candace, one of you, I'm sorry, that we were funding this for 2 years, okay? So we guaranteed 800,000 for the next year also?
I have received the 800. I have that. So I
For
have it
next year's-
available. It will carry over because there's a contract if it's not spent. That is a guarantee. The 300,000 going to family court is a guarantee. I mean, family preservation court is a guarantee.
The one to Family Preservation Court. So the police department is not necessarily gonna get 351 next year, because it doesn't say 2
No,
years
sir.
here.
No,
I mean, I'm just trying to,
I'm gonna let him answer. I think he's
Yeah.
gonna explain it better.
So whenever we had the conversation and met with them, when we looked at what kind of funding they were looking at, we said, well, let's do it for 2 years. So technically they could say, say we get another 800,000, and I was looking at my notes. It looks like we've received 900,000 since 2021, right? So to look at the fact that we had 800-something thousand this year, that hasn't been the standard, because over the 3-year period before that, we got 900,000, like 300,000 a year, right? So I think the opportunity, if you wanted to pass it like is we could say, well, let's put, take the family preservation 330, let's do 1 year on the family preservation, do the prenatal, do the drug court, and do HPD. We could do that. But the whole thing is, the 330 we're giving them is for family preservation for 2 years, with the opportunity that we're gonna get more funding next year. But we
Right.
don't know it till we get it. We get a call or a note that says, you're getting X amount of dollars. So we could do that with the funding as we look at it and sit right now.
okay, and you just went down the list, family preservation, prenatal, drug court, but family preservation and prenatal is one number, 330, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We could say we're gonna do that for 1 year instead of family preservation for 2. And then whenever money comes in next year, we could go through this allocation again through this whole process. And that's why we met beforehand, because again, we know they've been asking for it. We all support it. Brought us the budget. Didn't even, and you can ask it. We didn't ask any questions. We're like, done. And then here we are. So
Okay, but they are guaranteed 330 for next year.
they're guaranteed
150.
330, however they decide to spend it.
This year
For-
and next year.
It's not 330 twice. It's 330.
So they could spend that 330 however they want to.
Oh, so you're not funding it for 2 years?
So
If they
when-
spend
We
it
did that
all in
based on
1
their
year,
budget.
if they
Yes.
spend it all in 1 year, they only got 1 year funded.
Yes. And we did that based on the budget presented, that we said, let's look at what it takes to not only do it this year and next year. But yeah, that 330, they could spend 50,
Well-
50, 75, 25. Like, I
Okay.
mean, really could do
Well, it's
that.
kind of-
And drug court too, could
The way it's
also.
written here, it says you're doing it for 2 years at 330, so it kind of misleading.
But the contract, like, that's because they said, we got 330, let's do it for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Instead of us saying, we said with 330, you could do 2 years. So if they said they're gonna spend 330 in 1 year, and like Candace said, as far as the contract goes, that's where you get that detail that says, whatever it is,
it's not important to us what they do with it. They said, here's a budget, we said, here's the funds.
Okay.
And that was just the discussion, right?
So, and I didn't look it up. I don't have it here. How much did we give to the Family Preservation Court last year and the year before?
This is the first allocation
This
to
is the
them.
first allocation,
Yes,
so
sir.
we've never funded any kind of before.
No, sir.
I didn't think so.
The opioid settlement before that, and it was 617,000 was for HPD.
Okay, thank you.
If, Mr. Harding.
You have to wait, ma'am.
Okay.
And then take care of this. All right. Mr. Chaplain.
Yeah, so our options tonight is to approve this. And if we want to adjust it, then we have to come back later. So if Family Preservation can say they can live with the 330, change their budget based to do a year, including neonatal or however they change it up. So basically, if they can live with that, we could go forward today. So I guess, I guess I want to throw it back to Ellen. If we do 330 for 1 year with a hope of getting additional funding, would y'all be okay with that?
So when we originally presented our budget to Mr. Bergeron and Ms. Malden, we asked for a 2-year budget so that we could hire people and make sure that we could at least afford to pay them for the next 2 years. So that's where the 330 came from, is whatever half it would be spent. The intention was the half would be spent in year one, half would be spent in year two. When we learned that the parish received double the amount of what was expected, that's when we came up with the idea of spending more, creating the prenatal program. But to answer your question directly, yes, if we were given 330 for this year, which is year one for us, and we could begin that prenatal program, lay the foundation for it, begin the outreach, and start reaching out to doctors and starting to build our team, and then come back next year when we have the next allocation of funds with a statistic showing you what we've done and making another ask. Since it is, I understand the way it's written, it says 330, and once we do our agreement, it'd be 330 for this year, we would be okay with that. That's the short answer. That's the long answer to your short question.
Mr. Pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for clarity, so I can understand too, as well as the rest of my colleagues. The money we've received prior to this has been 900,000 since 2021. So it's 617,000 that we've received since 2021. Okay, so that should answer Mrs. Kim's question. It's 600,000.
Sticking with the first name.
Make it easy, right? Yeah. Second thing is, here, we say that we can't, based on your opinion, help me understand and help my colleagues understand. Now, the opinion says that you provided to us for making amendments to the budget. The council may motion and by a vote of 5 members, make amendments to the proposed budget prior to the call for the vote to adopt the budget. Once all amendments are made and the budget is finalized, a motion may be made to adopt the finalized proposed budget via ordinance. At that time, the council may vote in favor of or against adopting the finalized budget. 5 votes are needed to adopt. Help me understand that.
That part of the code is pertaining to the annual budget.
But it doesn't say that. That's why I question that, because if you go down a few more bullet points, it'll specify annual.
Mhm.
That's my confusion there.
Okay. I'm not sure is that the draft of the
This one,
opinion that I
the one,
sent to you
yes.
to look at?
Yes.
Okay. So it's still, so I don't think we ever finalized that opinion, but that portion that you're talking about is about the annual budget. Whenever the council goes through the motions to go through to, when Candace, from October to December, you go over the annual budget for the next year, that's what that code provision is pertaining to.
Right, where you can amend a portion of that and finalize the rest of it, right? What would be the
Right.
difference in this, though? Because we can amend a
Well,
portion of.
even for, so my opinion will state towards the bottom, even when you're dealing with the annual budget and when you're dealing with amendments to the budget that has already been adopted, we also have a portion of the charter and the code that provide that ordinances that are introduced have to be introduced in writing in the form that they will be presented for the public hearing. And so when they're introduced, they have to go and get published. I think Ms. Tammy does that with the Homa Courier, so she publishes it at the Homa Courier. She puts it on the agenda, and it's in the form that it has to be adopted. So if you look towards the bottom of the draft opinion that you're referring to, even for the annual budget, it's my legal opinion that the proposed annual budget has to be finalized before it's introduced for a vote to be adopted. So when you read both parts of the code together, yes, you have the opportunity to amend the annual budget, but you have to introduce the ordinance and the annual budget as written and what's going to be presented for the public hearing. And that's where the opinion comes in that you can't make an amendment after the ordinance is up for public hearing.
Okay.
I have something to
You
say
can,
before
you can do that. So I'm sorry. So go ahead.
Yeah, and where we are right now, we went all the way around. All right, and the thing about that is the fact that we want to help both agencies out. All right, and I think with them being satisfied that it's a slight roll of the dice that they're going to have because we may get another $600,000, and we have to coordinate it because there were expectations that we were going on with it, that this was going to be accepted along with everything else that's there, because that's another part of the problem here. Once we kick one thing out, we have to knock everything out and come back again. So what we're going to do here is the fact that, you know what I mean, make that point, and then we can go forward from that. But we went a while.
Yeah, I just want to add, this is a great example when you look at the fact that this had to sit for 2 weeks, right? So we presented this in a committee 2 weeks ago. It's got to sit for 2 weeks. At any time that we're having conversations and working with anybody, as soon as you say, hey, I need to make a change, definitely get with us, because if we got that change prior to the public hearing, it'd be in here, right? So I just want to make sure everybody understands that we're definitely trying to do everything we can to make sure we have all the information and get everybody in the room and have those conversations and get everything what they need. So, definitely don't wait. If as soon as you know, and we say it all the time, you see something, say something. That's what we definitely want to do to help make sure everybody gets what they need. And again, we've all committed to this. More funding coming in next year. I just think that we're going to continue to build on this process and attack this from so many different angles, because I really believe behavioral health and opioids are the two main issues we deal with that really kind of affect everything else inside our parish when it comes to crime and economic disadvantage and, just mental health and everything. So we're definitely all committed to that. So thank you.
Mr. Babin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've kind of gone all around the situation here tonight. Some of it's semantics and the way we have to do our business. The most important thing is that we have a need out there, okay? And this year, we gained a lot more money than we ever had before. So Ms. Dosky just got up. The question was asked by Mr. Champagne, which they never got money before. There's $300,000 or $331,000 that is going to them this year is new money that they're doing. This prenatal program is definitely something that we need to look at. Through our own admission, with that $330,000, she can not only help the drug court system, I know it's wrong terminology, but also start the prenatal. So I think we need to move forward with this, okay? And the Houma Police Department also still has its funding. We don't know, next year it might only be $100,000. That's what's scary sometimes about starting a new program, that you start a program based on X number of dollars, and then next year you don't have that funding to do it. But if everybody, especially the people involved, the judge and Ms. Dosky and everyone else, can start their programs and increase their current programs with the $330,000, I think we've done a lot. So again, thank you all for what you do, and thank the Houma Police Department for what they do. As Steve said earlier, this is free money, okay? Let's use it wisely, and I think we're spreading it around, and everybody I hate to say it, getting their share, but at least we can get some programs started. So, thank you very much.
Before I go to Ms. Kim, Chief.
There was one more thing I wanted to add, something that we implemented today. We'd been waiting on the equipment to come in and it was delayed a little bit. We put out what we call an overdose kits, which consist of an AED and Narcan. So we're looking for a higher survivability rate because we're the first ones on scene, and often all we have is the Narcan. The AEDs is going to be huge. Look, we just want to help people and save lives. That's it. That's all we want to do. We want to help. We want to be part of the community, and we want to help people and save lives. And I think that the survivability rate's going to go up. So we're going to have AEDs on each side of town. So I just wanted to add that.
Ms. Chauvin.
Okay. So just to be clear, we met before the snowstorm. The snowstorm happened and then it just kind of piled up on us. So nothing was really done like to come behind on that because I think they were scrambling just to even find numbers and stuff. I think that the discussion definitely needs to happen because as you look at our parish, we have big problems with it. All of these things are important. HPD is absolutely necessary and important. The Family Preservation Court is necessary and important, and so is the prenatal program that they're wanting to do. I think that we found a solution, and I look forward to sitting down with the Chief of Police. I look forward to sitting down with Judge Arsenault and the whole team and yourself, Jason, that we can sit and make a better plan for next year. I look forward to it. So thank everybody for coming on it.
Mr. Hamady.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, in my view, for the rest of this year, I think it'd be prudent for us to contact Senator Cassidy and our new representative for this area, Congressman Higgins. Senator Cassidy runs the Health and Welfare Committee at the federal level in the Senate, and Higgins is with the law enforcement. I would be willing to bet that there's some federal grants that we can come up with $170,000. That way they can put a comfort level to the people that they hire to run these programs. That's the biggest thing. I see why they wanted to do that for 2 years. Nobody wants to leave one job to go to another without securities. So I think if we do our job, there's a lot of federal free money out there, like people say, that pharmacy and all these groups are willing to do certain things. And if not, then we just get our federal tax dollars back into our area, because that's why we're paying taxes. So let's do our due diligence and get our federal dollars back in our area for things like this. So I think if we do our due diligence, we can find that other $169,000, $170,000 that they're looking for this year and possibly next year. So now that we're aware of it, let's just keep moving forward with it. Let's not just wait till next year when the next allotment comes out, but let's work to find some dollars out there. I tell people all the time, the money's out there. We just got to go get it. We have to find it and go get it. Talking to Senator Cassidy and all of our delegation, I'm certain that they could probably find us in the trillion, what is it, $2-3 trillion budget, that they spend just on the Pentagon. I'm sure they can find some inefficiencies and kick that money off to something like this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Learet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to talk a little bit about Travis and HPD and narcotics, because he's a humble guy and the whole lot of them is pretty humble. But we have a top tier narcotics team in this parish that most people do not know about. I've had the opportunity to go on a few of these drug raids with Travis and his team. Nobody gets hurt on either side. It's surgical, it's effective, and I think it's because of their training and their knowledge, and we're just very fortunate to have them because we do have a major problem here, and those guys are working very hard for us.
Mr. Bedrow.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple things. So one is the conversation I had about the deal we're having tomorrow with Bayou Community Foundation. Again, that regional conversation of where we have gaps and what we can do to fill them. We also purchased some new grant software, and it's amazing when I see the emails come through when new grants are released that, you can see funding for this and funding for that. And we got a grant writer in finance that's going to be helping us do that also. So many different opportunities, again, working with the state delegation, working with the federal delegation, those conversations of, this is what we're looking for. This is the pots of money we have available. And then we have this pot of money we can use for this issue and this pot of money for this issue, and constantly, consistently having those conversations. And so, thank y'all.
Third call public. Motion closed by Mr. Trustclass, second by Mr. Miss Kim. You had a light?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay. Mr. Pleasure.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Chair. I'd like to, on a different line item on this, I have a question. I noticed we have everything is pretty much itemized in there, 1 through 7A, and we don't. But when we go into the backup, we have an additional item, which is the $12,000 that was requested for the program. So with that being said, is that the $12,000 that I'm seeing in the backup, okay? Is that the parish suggesting to the program that that's all the funds they're gonna put towards that, or what? Just curious. Candace.
Yes, sir. So that is part of the attachment D. So it is the general fund number for the adjustment for $3,106. We added the $3,106. Oh, Ms. Nominee's over here now. To the legal services. I was looking that way. And then it is the $12,000 that we are adjusting from the co-sponsorships to the West Homa Enrichment Program.
Okay, understand totally. So again, is that all that's we're gonna put towards that program? And the reason I ask that is, we're setting everybody up for success, right? And I get it that we're planning to, work with the program to possibly put monies there or grants or whatever, but that's not gonna sustain them for the year. And per that request that I made at the budget hearings, we said we were gonna address that. Say something, see something, say something, so I said it. And I noticed that, one of the 2 finalized items I had on my budget and finance committee for the end of the year, one is on here in full, the 3,100, but the 35,000 is not on here for the program. It's only 12,000 on there. Can we do that for them? I'm asking at this point now.
Are you finished, Candy?
Okay, let it go.
There you go. Like we talked about with balancing this budget, my question would be, where are we going to take it from? And that's where we look at, I've been working with Ms. Diane, working to get her through some opportunities to get grant funding, learn that one of the things that she needs to do still, I'm helping her with, is get set up as a nonprofit. And through that process, is going to open up a lot of opportunities. But again, we can move all the co-sponsorship funding to her if you would like, but if not from there, then where? And that's what we deal with, is that we got a certain amount of money. If we give more to her, we got to take it from somewhere else. And we're looking for the feedback, but at a minimum, we're getting them started, because this is a reimbursement program. So as she gets her expenses, she turns them in and we pay them out. And with the plan of a few opportunities, number one being that sales tax goes up, and number two, being able to find some funding opportunities for her to be a little more self-sustaining. That conversation through the fact that it's a community outreach program, and getting maybe other businesses and other organizations to be aware of what they do and provide that opportunity for more of that funding. And that's what Ms. Diane, everything I could do to make sure she's self-sustaining, to where if we go through a budget crunch, that program isn't shut down. That's what I want to do that I can to help Ms. Diane.
Okay, so with that being said, I understand totally. So that means we won't be making any other budget adjustments for the year because we don't have any money anywhere, is what I'm saying. Now, with that being said, Mr. Bazeron, $12,000, I'm not exactly sure how long that lasts or whatever it is. What happens if that doesn't make it to January 2026? What we'll do then, just shut
So
it down?
I would fully hope that our sales tax reverse themselves. We had, declining sales tax 11 out of 12 months. At the end of the day, again, we got to find out where else we're going to pull it from. So if we want to get rid of the co-sponsorship program altogether, we could transfer that $25,000 to this. But that's, at the opportunity, we're trying to make sure both of those programs are sustaining to get us down closer to where, I said a little more down the road. And again, everything I could do to help her with some nonprofits and some other organizations to get more funding. And so, again, you guys tell me where you want to pull it from, and we'll pull it from it. So, as we look at everything with this budget, we've been again dealing with the sales tax decline. That's where we get our funding from. I'm definitely open to ideas of where else we could take this money from to make it happen.
Well, as Budget and Finance Chair, I'd love to sit with Candace so we can figure it out to be able to sustain this program. And just for a tidbit, so everybody will understand what program I'm talking about, I can really appreciate Family Court and those folks coming out tonight because I would say this is a perfect example of working with the children here in this parish. Family Court came and they kind of discussed about what they're going to do with the opioid and all that, and the effect it has on children here in Terrebonne Parish. Well, this program specifically, the benefits, it's been tried, tested, and proven that you have kids in this program that go to it from all demographics within the parish, and there are certified teachers there. They're teaching these kids, excelling these kids, bringing them up to a different level. Some of these kids are on the honor roll because of the program. Not only that, but in the program itself, the people who are taking care of this program, putting it on, they're really passionate about it. And I would just hate to have to go to the schools where the teachers and the administrators at the schools in the parish are telling the parents there's a free program the parish provides that service to their children. I would hate to have to tell them, well, we can't do it, and we're talking about $35,000. I know it's not free money, but at the same time, it's monies that provides a service to the people, children of this parish. Thank you.
I'd like to, can I add a little bit more to that? Look, I got to give it to our directors. We approached them and said, we need you to come to us cutting 10% in your department. And they did that. In some cases was more, some cases was less. But every day we're looking to have other opportunities to save funding. We're continuing to roll out our phone system. That last year saved us $200,000. Upgrade of our email platform saved us $200,000. So we're always having conversations about this. Then one of the next projects we're going to work on is upgrading our accounting system. And that right there, we have people that work full time just to deal with the maintenance and support and reporting, that when you look at that, plus the software, the server, the maintenance fees, everything else, every time we find a more efficient opportunity, it provides us the opportunity to take some of that savings and pass it out to other groups and organizations. And that's what we're striving for today, tomorrow, next week, 6 months from now. And so every opportunity we can to make sure, and I promise, Ms. Diane, we're not going to leave in a lurch. I'm going to do everything within my power to make sure that program is funded and self-sustaining for years to come. And I told her she has my full commitment with everything I've done to raise money and build nonprofits to get her what she needs to make sure that need is addressed and much more. Because when you look at that need in that area, my question always comes to, is there a need in another area that we're not addressing? And I'm sure each council member sitting up here can say, I'd like to have those services in my area. And so that's that. There's some other programs that Robbie and I have been talking about for other funding opportunities. We get up every day to see where we could find the money to get everything we need and get every resident, the help that they need. And we're not going to continue that fight. And I got to give it up to my team, not only in this last event, I wanted to say that and how hard they work, but every day they just come to work and do everything they can to take care of our residents. And I'd put our team up against anybody in the state that they're going to continue to do that. So again, I give my guarantee we're going to get Ms. Diane taken care of. And I've told her that myself.
too. Mr. Hamlin.
Okay. Thank you. You know, I used to pride myself on being able to read financial statements and find money here and there and everywhere, you know, and what until I got on this council that I realized that I have a whole new animal when it comes to Terrebonne Parish consolidated government budgets and stuff. It is very interesting, and I can't wait to figure out the puzzle. But Candace, I got a question for you. You know, does in our budget is there budget money? There's money allocated for council expenses and things. Am I correct? I don't want to call it a council budget or anything, but
It is. That's what it is.
well, I'm asking Candace, you know, to explain it to me.
So we do have, it is Fund 151, Department 111 is the council budget, and General Fund 151, Department 115 is the council clerk's office budget. And we do send that to Ms. Tammy every year, just like we do with all of our departments. So it includes the salaries for council members, salaries for clerk staff, and we go through and we put there what is needed to run those departments.
Okay. Is there any unallocated money? Yeah, I mean, contingency money, like money for, you know, extra expenses, you know, councilman expenses, those types of
So
things?
no, so that runs
Excuse me. Does this actually go along with that? Because actually we discussing one item and we've actually went to another item. something
Correct.
else. Yeah. So what we want to do is just stick to the matter at hand, and then we can address that later on.
Well, the finance chair brought it up, so.
Well,
That's okay, I'll wait on that.
No, the finance chair mentioned something that was in the budget adjustments, which was the $12,000 in section B.
Yeah, well, it's not germane to the issue, so we won't need to talk to it about it.
Yeah, he might be leading to that.
Huh?
He might be leading into it.
Are you leading into that?
Yeah.
Are you leading into that?
I was, but I was interrupted,
Well-
so I'll wait and talk to y'all about it later.
Okay, Mr. Pleasure.
Okay, thanks. This might be my last time, Mr. Chair. Appreciate that. Again, I know we don't want to go, you know, I like to have it here in front of us. That gives me more security. That makes me understand a little bit better to know that it's coming and that opportunity is going to be there for that program. But I would say, and this is just me, I understand a balance sheet a little bit better maybe, but there's a fund balance. I mean, we're talking 35 grand. That's all we're talking about, not much. And that'll get us through this year, I would assume, and then we can set this program up for success thereafter. And I'm just very passionate about that. It goes in line with what we're doing for the children. If it's for the children and it's working, it's been in place now for 6-7 years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I must apologize. I don't know exactly where you were because once he mentioned about the council budget, but then we were actually in a specific subject. I'm so glad that we have gotten to this point that Mr. Steve Trusclair has actually made a motion and second by Ms. Kim that we close adopt. We close public hearing. No lights, members' voice machine. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, ayes has it. Motion adopted by Mr. Babin, second by Ms. Kim Chauvin. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Those opposed? No, ayes have it. Motion passes. Where were we? C, an ordinance to authorize the parish president to execute a cooperative endeavoring agreement between Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government and Coastal Protection and Restoration Authorities approving the waiver of the fees for the use of the home of Terrebonne Civic Center on January 30th, 2025 First call public. Yes, sir.
Restoration Director for Terrebonne Parish. And I urge you to pass this ordinance, and in doing so, what you're doing is you're allowing the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority to present to the public and to you it's the coastal restoration projects and flood risk reduction projects. It's included in its FY 2026 annual plan. This meeting tomorrow night starts out with like a public meeting, an open house, and then about 6 o'clock it goes into the public hearing on this annual plan. So it's important for us to know what's going on. I'm going to be there and go on the record and support a lot of these projects. So I want to make sure you're invited and the public is as well tomorrow, 5:30 at the Civic Center. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Second call public. Third call public. Motion closed by Mr. Trusclair. Second, Mr. Wazan. Any discussion? Members, vote your machine. 9-0. Motion adopted by Mr. Trusclair. Second by Mr. Wazan. Any discussion? Members, vote your machine. 9-0. Pass. Item 3, committee reports, policy and procedure and legal committee. Mr. Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make the motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Policy, Procedure, and Legal Committee held January 27, 2025. I have no public hearings.
Motion by Mr. Hamner, second by Mr. Champagne. Any discussion? Members, vote your machine. 8-0. You need it, right?
I'm about to,
Oh, you, Mr. Pleasure.
I'm about to speak here.
Okay. Oh, you just put it on early. Yeah. Motion passes. Item B, Budget and Finance Committee, Mr. Pleasure.
I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of Budget and Finance Committee held on Monday, January 27th, 2025, and I have 2 public hearings. Item number 1, consider the introduction of an ordinance declaring 2 vehicles from the Houma Police Department as surplus and authorizing said item to be disposed of by any legally approved method and call a public hearing on Wednesday, February 12, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number 2, consider the introduction of an ordinance to set the salaries of the council staff for inclusion of a 2025 salary adjustment and a 2026 salary adjustment, and to address other matters relative thereto, and call a public hearing on Wednesday, February 12, 2025 at 6:30 p.m.
Moved by Mr. Pleasure, second by Mr. Amity. Any discussion? Members, vote your machine. 9-0. Motion passes. Street lights. Motion by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Amity. Any discussion? Just members, vote your machine. 9-0. Motion passed. Item 5, appointments to various boards and committees and commissions. A, Recreation District Number 8 Board, 1, expiring term on 2/24/25. Mr. Darrell Abear expresses his interest in being reappointed. District 8.
I make a motion to appoint Mr. Darrell Abear. Reappoint, excuse me.
Yeah, a motion by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Champagne to reappoint Mr. Darrell Abear to, any discussion? Member, vote your machine. District 8, it's the lower end of Gibson. Yeah, 9-0.
Couldn't make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Right. B, Library Board, control, one expiring term on 2/27/25. Mr. Jude Fungi expresses his interest in being reappointed.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Champagne, second by Mr. Hamner, that Mr. Jude Fungi be reappointed to the Louisiana Library Board of Control. Members, vote your machine. 9-0. C, South Central Louisiana Human Services Authority, one expiring term, one expiring term, one vacancy due to resignation of Erica Lambert, submitted application for consideration.
Motion to close and appoint Ms. Lambert.
Motion by Mr. Babin to open and close Ms. Lambert, second by Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion? Members, vote your machine. 9-0. D, Coastal Fire Protection District Board, two expiring terms. Mr. Ivy DeRoche expresses his interest in being reappointed.
No. Hold up a second.
It's closed.
No action.
No action. Yeah. E, Recreation District number 5, Board, 3 expiring terms on 2/28/25. Ms. Serena Lered expresses her interest in being reappointed. It's not, huh?
They need action on this.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Trustclass to open, close, and appoint Ms. Lered and hold, and second by Ms. Chauvin to open, close, and appoint. And hold the other two. Members, vote your machine. Nine zero. F, Village East Fire Protection District Board, one expiring term. Mr. Nagel Hodgson expresses his interest in being reappointed. Motion by Mr. Trustclass to open, close, and appoint Mr. Hodgson, and second by Mr. Voisin. Members, vote your machine. Seven zero. Motion passes. Vacancies in various boards and commissions and committees and commissions. Recreation District number 2-3 Board, one expiring term. Recreation District number 8 Board, one expiring term on 2/24/25. Fire District number 5 Board, one expiring term. Recreation District number 5 Board, two expiring terms on 2/28/25. Coastal Fire Protection District Board, one expiring term. Children, Youth, and Family Services Board, two expiring terms, one representing faith-based organization and one representing the Bayou Area Children Foundation. Downtown Development Corporation, 5 expiring terms, each representing the following entities: 2 representing the council, 1 representing the Chamber of Commerce, 1 representing the Historical Society, and 1 representing the Downtown Merchants. Terrebonne Parish Tree Board, 2 expiring terms on 2/23/25, 1 expiring term on, and 1 vacancy due to resignation. Veterans Memorial District Board, 1 vacancy due to resignation, representing the parish president south of the Intercoastal. Board of Adjustments, 1 expiring term. Homer Housing Authority, 1 expiring term, and on 1/1/28 parish president's appointment. Homer Public Trust, 1 expiring term. Announcements, Mr. President.
Yeah, so like we talked about earlier, Mark mentioned CPRA is coming tomorrow night. They're going to be at the Civic Center That event starts at 5:30, and they're going to talk about their annual projects and what that means for coastal restoration and protection, not only in Terrebonne Parish, but throughout the state. And so, again, that's at the Civic Center. And then on Sunday is the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl with Saturday. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Saturday at Canada's from 11 to 2, raising money for United Way, which is not the Super Bowl, which is the following weekend after that. But you can bring your soup to the Super Bowl. So just want to share those activities that are going on, and thank y'all.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, in this last event, the snow event that we had last week, the district I represent lost water, and another section of it lost almost all the gas that they have. I just want the people that are out there right now listening to this to know that the problem with the gas has been isolated. It has been addressed. This administration and utilities has a plan to correct it, and hopefully that will be starting very soon. And it's my understanding, I may be going out on a limb here, but it will be completed before hurricane season, if at all possible. That depends on weather and a lot of other factors. But the point is, it has been isolated, it has been addressed, the money is there, the project will get started. Thank you.
No more lights. Motion adjourned by Ms. Kim Chauvin and second by Mr. Amity. Members, vote your machine. We are adjourned.